Said earlier, Trish is with me this morning. Trish, I mean, today it's all about dollar strength. What is this flight to safety and Kurdin's comment behind it, right?
Market actually all these were coming on the back of a very oversold dollar position. So it's really about the stars being aligned, all in the same straight line for the U.S. dollar. So we have BRICS meeting coming up later tonight, and traders are saying, they're still going to be a bit more cautious ahead of the meeting, because don't forget that overnight when we had the TIX data, which shows actually the capital inflows into the U.S., we actually saw that Brazil, China, and Russia's purchases of U.S. treasuries actually declined, and China was actually a net seller in the latest data. So they actually they did put their money where their mouth is. They did pare down the extent in which they're buying U.S. treasuries. But then the other lines of thought saying that the decline is also because probably there was slower inflows in the last couple of weeks into emerging markets, hence less need for intervention and probably less need for U.S. dollars. But the traders are saying that the dollar, the greenback, could have a bit more room to run simply because of the risk aversion theme that's coming back into the market, and the dollar is reversing from a very oversold position.
Hey, Trish, we have a question from Ernst Ross in Sweden. He wants to know where the krona is headed. It's been weakening. And also, as a follow-up to that, whether he should be buying into at least, one or a couple of the Asian currencies like the yuan. What do you think?
Well, Ernest is probably unable to buy the yuan. The yuan is not a fully convertible currency. About the only thing you can bet on the yuan is through the NDFs, and chances are it's usually big banks and large corporations which are able to access that kind of market. For Ernest, in being where he is, I suppose the next best alternative, if he doesn't want to go into the euro, would be the sterling, because a lot of people do see that the sterling is extremely oversold as it is overnight is continuing to actually rise against the euro, and people actually think that the UK banking sector is in a far healthier position than the European banking sector, and also there are signs of stabilization in the UK housing market. So given his location, I suppose the sterling could be the next best alternative.
As for the sterling, talk us through the thinking behind that. Not too long ago, the sterling was not one of the favorite currencies. It seems to have done an about turn in the market.
Yes, the about turn actually caught a lot of people by surprise, because it was kind of like creeping up. It was no big news actually that really pushed it. But technicals say that it's very oversold, like the dollar, but also because BOE doesn't seem to be expanding its quantitative easing as much as markets have feared. Although the UK is running very large budget deficits. And then finally there's the stabilization. The one that's actually supporting the sterling a lot is the economic data. The economic data is actually quite encouraging, especially in the UK housing sector. Of course, a little bit on the industrial production and PMI numbers as well. So this actually gave a bit of a nudge to the sterling quite a bit, and it's taken on a bit of a momentum. It's all coming up from very oversold positions from last year, and I suppose it's exactly like what happened to the Australian and the Canadian dollar, and quite a bit of markets as well. As coming from such oversold positions, the momentum is quite considerable, and traders do think that the sterling could have a lot more room to run, especially when you're doing it against other crosses, other carries like the euro.
All right, Trish Louie, our very own Trish Louie in the Singapore newsroom. Thank you so much for that.